Welcome back to another episode of Living in Denver. As always, my name is Adam, and today I want to share with you guys a little bit more on an area that I've done a video on in the past, and it's been one of my most popular videos. Also an area that I've been getting a ton of feedback and questions and just a lot of interest in. And this is going to be Cherry Creek North. So this is a super cool area. I actually have a lot of experience being in this area quite a bit. My girlfriend lives right in this Cherry Creek North area. So I'm excited to share all of this with you guys today. So stay tuned. All right, so as I said, today's gonna be all about Cherry Creek North. Super cool area. A lot of mixed feedback though on why it's great, but also some negatives to this part of Denver. And I'm gonna go over that with you guys today and share some different aspects of this area from what I shared about a year ago on a totally different Cherry Creek North video on my channel. If you wanna watch that one, definitely recommend you do, because I'm gonna talk about different aspects again of Cherry Creek on this one. If you wanna watch that old video first, check it out here. I've got a link up above. And then definitely you want to watch this one too though, because I'm going to be sharing some pretty unique aspects of this area with you today. But before we get started, all that info that you see down below, feel free to reach out. Text me, call me, shoot me an email. Regardless if you're seriously considering moving to Denver right now, or maybe you're just kicking tires and trying to decide if Denver is the right spot for you. I would love to connect, and I guarantee I could provide some value to you. And as a 40+ year Colorado native, share a few different aspects of living in Denver that you might not know about. So reach out. But for today, again, we want to talk all about Cherry Creek North. So Cherry Creek North is located on the northern side of the Cherry Creek Mall. So Cherry Creek is a lot larger area, but Cherry Creek North is really more of this mixed use portion of Cherry Creek. We're going to have a lot of very high-end upscale shopping, restaurants, a lot of apartments and luxury condominiums. And then if you go a few blocks outside of that, you'll also find some very nice homes, single family as well as townhomes, and just a lot of different styles of homes. So one of the things I love about this area is how different all of these different streets are. And it's just so much fun just to even walk around and just really admire some of the architecture and what makes this area truly so special and why it's such a popular area here in Denver. So I want to share with you obviously a few things that are great about this area, but also a few negatives, or a few things that I do also receive feedback on why a lot of people don't want to live here. So starting off with the first reason why a lot of people do, it is truly one of the best areas for walkability. You know, if you're somebody that loves going out to eat, just being able to walk after work around and grab a cup of coffee or maybe a happy hour and just be able to do all of this within walking distance, I don't think there's many areas in the entire city of Denver that are better than Cherry Creek North. There are a ton of great options for dining. Again, nice bars, happy hour, a lot of different shops, all kinds of good stuff. So if that's something that really is something important to you, definitely look into Cherry Creek North. And if you like the traditional shopping malls, you're in luck. Right across the street is going to be the Cherry Creek Mall, which still, even after 20+ years, continues to be one of the best shopping malls in all of Denver. You know, being obviously a Colorado native, I would rank it in the top 3, along with Flatirons Mall up near Boulder in Broomfield and Park Meadows Mall, which is a little bit further down south. Now, in addition to that walkability and the great restaurants and nightlife that are available right out your back door, depending on where you live here in Cherry Creek North, I also love with Cherry Creek North how you have some great trails just really close in proximity. So one of these is called just the Cherry Creek Trail, and also the Highline Canal Trail. And one of the reasons I love both of these trails is you don't have to deal with traffic. So you're gonna be on dedicated trails where you're gonna have a very limited, minimal amount of interaction with cars. You know, nowadays there are just so many people on the road, and I always just worry about people being distracted with their phones and just worrying that I might get hit by, you know, if I'm riding my bike, or maybe you're just on one of those shared scooters that you can rent. You know, regardless of what you're on, you know, if you're something other than a vehicle, I would just be a little bit concerned with how crazy Denver's getting with just the volume of people on the roads. So I love that about these two trails. Again, the Highline Canal Trail and also the Cherry Creek Trail. You have great access to Cherry Creek Park, which is a beautiful lake, as well as a really cool dog park where you can actually have your dog off leash, one of the few areas in Denver that you can do that. But again, you just really have some great accessibility with the trail system if you live in or around Cherry Creek North. And then the last thing I'll say on a really high positive note about Cherry Creek North is this really upscale, kind of exclusive feel that Cherry Creek has. And I've had this kind of impression of Cherry Creek for as long as I can remember, and that's because it's existed for 25, 30 years. I remember even back in high school, over 25 years ago at this point, even back then, Cherry Creek really stood out as the top area in and around Denver for feeling that upscale type vibe. So, there are some other areas at this point that are a similar level of, prestige, but Cherry Creek just always takes the cake and is definitely the most well-known when it comes to that. So if you're somebody that, maybe values that status and just really wants to be in an area that's recognizable and well-known, then I think there isn't a better area than Cherry Creek North to really accomplish that. I think that Cherry Creek North is always going to be popular for another 25 years, and it's just always going to be this area that is very coveted and really respected when it comes to real estate and just quality of life. Now, let's talk about the flip side of this. Because of all those great things that I've been talking about, there definitely is a very high cost of living in Cherry Creek North. It is, in my opinion, one of the most expensive areas in all of Denver. And again, that is because there's a lot of value being placed on that walkability and just that convenience. You're not only super close to downtown Denver, you also have a really good centralized location, really to get to a lot of other up and coming areas in and around Denver. One example of this would be Wash Park, which is another favorite for many of my friends as well as clients. And one of the things that's nice about Cherry Creek is areas like Wash Park are just a short 5 to 7 minute drive away. So you have this great location where you can do all of this stuff within walking distance. However, you're also able to access a ton of nearby, also very coveted parts and neighborhoods of Denver. Again, going back though to why that can in some regards be a negative is that's going to be jacking up the price very, very high. When you're looking at Cherry Creek North, as I mentioned at the beginning of this video, right in the heart of Cherry Creek North, which is just north of Cherry Creek Mall, you're going to have that high density mixed use area with lots of restaurants, lots of shopping, and some of these high rise luxury apartments and condos. If you go just a couple blocks outside of that, you're going to find some really beautiful streets with awesome foliage and really mature trees. Right now I'm filming this video in the fall, and it has just been gorgeous in Cherry Creek North the last couple weeks with all the different colors. And again, all the homes that are in this area are just so unique. Every home has a lot of character to it. And since they are all very higher end homes, you really get to admire some of the different styles of architecture. So just to kind of summarize this first, consideration about the high cost of living, if you are on a budget or you really aren't wanting to spend a ton of extra, premium on that centralized location, then Cherry Creek North might not be the best for you. However, you could still find some great areas very nearby, and I'll share that in another video with you. So make sure you look out for that. One of these areas being an area called Hale, and another one known as Montclair. So keep your eye out for those videos. And again, though, going back to Cherry Creek North, what I also want to share about another con or another potential negative for some people is going to be the congestion. There are still a few areas in the downtown or just neighborhoods surrounding downtown that aren't seeing a ton of traffic congestion, but I'll tell you what, man, it is hard to find these days parts of Denver, especially in the more condensed, centralized areas around the heart of Denver that aren't faced with a lot of congested traffic. That's just kind of par for the course at this point in Denver. Denver is obviously an incredibly popular place to live, and the secret's out. People know about it, and just every year, this is something that's just continuing to get more and more of an issue or a problem for some. I will say that, since I've lived here my whole life, you just kind of learn to deal with it, and just over, time, depending on where you're living, really are able to hopefully identify the right and the wrong times to travel, to avoid or at least minimize being stuck in your to be stuck in your car and sitting in rush hour, traffic. So just be aware of that you are going to face some of that within Cherry Creek North. I will say that part of the reason for this is you don't have that direct access to a major highway when you live in Cherry Creek. In order to get, for example, over to I-25 or to I-70, you're going to have to travel for at least a mile or two to get over to those areas. So you're going to have to travel on roads like Colorado Boulevard or potentially Spear or maybe even Alameda. And all of these are just, more traditional roads that do have stoplights and just a lot of feeder roads going into them, which can bog down the roads and cause some significant traffic. Just as one little example for this, so my girlfriend lives right in Cherry Creek North, literally downtown. When you sit on her back patio, you can look out over Cherry Creek Mall. So it's right in the thick of Cherry Creek North. And when she comes to visit me occasionally on like a weeknight, I live in Littleton, kind of the southern side of Denver. What might only take 20 to 25 minutes in the late evening or early morning hours could take as much as 45 or 50 minutes if she's coming over to visit me after work at 5 o'clock. So you really have to be aware of the most opportune times to travel when you are in areas like Cherry Creek. And then one other point that I haven't shared before about Cherry Creek is that it doesn't have quite as much of a neighborhood feel as other areas in and around Denver. And this is something that's pretty important to me. And, if you would have asked me this 10 years ago, I wouldn't have even had this on my radar. But today, I really do value having that sense of community and just that sense of a neighborhood. What I mean by this is you're walking up and down different streets and you're seeing familiar faces and hopefully even getting to the point where you recognize, somebody and you say hi to them and you remember their first name. I just love having a little bit of that in my life just to have that sense of community. And you definitely do have this in Cherry Creek North, especially if you're living in a luxury apartment like my girlfriend does, where, within that community, she's seeing her neighbors in that building and, having that level of neighborhood feel. But if you step outside of individual buildings like that and you're just walking around to the different restaurants, the different shopping, all that kind of stuff, you're not going to have quite as much of that, in my opinion, as you would in other areas that might be a little bit more suburban, where you really get to know your neighbors a little bit better. So, this is also just my personal experience. Definitely everybody has their own experiences with this kind of stuff, so don't discount that too much. You might be totally different. You might be making a ton of friends and having a lot of familiar faces when you do something similar and just walk around these downtown neighboring streets in Cherry Creek North. Now, I'm gonna also play devil's advocate and kind of do a flip-flop of that neighborhood feel. And I do wanna share with you one of the things that I love about Cherry Creek North, and also my girlfriend, what she likes about this area, is there are a ton of really cool farmers markets and then just different seasonal markets that are the talk of the town. In all of Denver, there's a couple that bring people from every part of Denver when they have these events. The first one is going to be coming up soon as I record this, and that's going to be the Cherry Creek North Christmas Market. They actually block off this entire section of Cherry Creek North where it becomes pedestrian only, and all of these really, really cool locally owned and operated tents get set up where they're just selling all sorts of cool holiday stuff, candles, different art, decorative stuff, also, a few different little pop-ups that make specialty drinks and candy and snacks. Pretty much everything you can think of that's holiday themed, you can find at the Cherry Creek Holiday Market, which is pretty much the entire month of December, really from the day after Thanksgiving all the way up until Christmas. In addition to that, one that is even bigger is the Cherry Creek Arts Festival, and this one is in the summertime, and similar idea where there's some pedestrian-friendly areas that have been blocked off from traffic, and you just really get to enjoy, again, all sorts of cool artisans and local tents that get set up, just selling all different types of stuff, again, art, lots of just different cool crafts. Being in Cherry Creek, it's going to be a little bit pricey on a lot of this stuff, but really, really cool and just very unique compared with a lot of the other areas in and around Denver. If you do live in the downtown, like right in the thick of it in Cherry Creek North, like my girlfriend does in one of the luxury apartment buildings, she has a lot of complaints about these festivals. She loves them. However, they can be a little bit of a pain at times if you do live in these buildings and you need to access the parking garages and just get in and out. So, if you are considering, something that's really in that downtown part of Cherry Creek North, just be aware that there could be some, occasional hiccups or some occasional challenges with getting to your home if it is during some of these specialty events like the Cherry Creek Arts Festival or this holiday Christmas bazaar that they have, again, for the entire month between Thanksgiving and Christmas. So to wrap it up, obviously there's a lot of really great things about Cherry Creek North. And really, I just wanted to kind of give you a few highlights just to implore you to, if you do think this is an area that you want to consider as a potential place to move to, just reach out. I would love to go a lot more in depth on specifics, share more about real estate prices, and just more about the actual housing inventory with you at that time. So if you have any interest at all in that, just again, feel free to reach out. My phone number, my email, all that info is down below. And I also have some great free resources that you can download, including buyer and seller guides, as well as some specific guides on Cherry Creek and some of my favorite places to check out, restaurants, trails, all that good stuff. So even if you just want a quick resource to follow and look into a little bit more in depth when it comes to some of my favorites, since this is an area that I frequent on a regular basis, make sure you guys check that out. The link is in this video, so you can click that and download a free copy of my Cherry Creek Neighborhood Guide. But with that being said, I hope you guys have a great rest of your week. Thank you so much again for watching another episode of Living in Denver. If you haven't yet, make sure you hit that subscribe button. I release new videos every single week, and I want to make sure you are getting them immediately when they come out, because every single week I'm going to be covering different areas, and I really want to give you a full overview of every part of Denver to make sure if you are considering coming out to the Mile High City, you have a very educated and good understanding to make sure you have a really great foundation of all of Denver and really understand what options are out there for housing. And check out my website where I have over 20 neighborhoods with an interactive map where you can go much more in depth and find out more specifically about each of these areas. So again, guys, have a great rest of your day. Look forward to seeing you next week on an all new episode of Living in Denver. I'll see you then. Bye.